Hi, my name is Newell Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to do an update on my Vermibag Max. Now, this is the large one from the Vermibag series. I think he has a new one called Mammoth, which is larger, and then he has the Mini, which I also have. But this is on the Max. So we're going to take a look. It's been a while since I've done an update. It still has not been emptied yet. It's amazing how much this bag can hold, and I have to say it's become one of my favorite bags to use in my basement because of the way it can wick away moisture, but at the same time, it doesn't lose too much moisture like the Mini does. So let's take a look at the bag and see how it's doing. So here's the bag right here. I'm going to open it up. I've got the zippers right here, and they go all the way around the bag. As you can see, the see-through mesh top. I think he's made a couple changes to that. And I do have a spider that's living in here now, which is fine, but I can get rid of him. Couple of fruit flies in here, nothing major. Top is somewhat dry. I haven't added a lot of moisture to the top of this yet. I tend to have to dig down to get to stuff. So I do have some food in here still from my last feeding. Let's just take a look and see how it's doing. There's some stuff on it, but I don't see any worms on it yet. Oh, here we go. Here are the worms right in here. So there are some worms in here. As you can see right here, there are plenty of worms in here. I've seen them. They take a while to come up to the food because it's a little bit more dry, I want to say. And I did throw in some peels of oranges and stuff like that, which is a little bit different. I normally don't do that, but I have been throwing these in lately, and I haven't been chopping them up. Now, I did throw in, with these orange peels, you can tell I think there's some white powder on it. That is crushed eggshell to make sure if there's any acidity or anything like that, it's no big deal. So I'm not seeing too many worms up in here. But there are, if we get a little further down, hold on here, I'm just going to stir this up a little bit here. When we get down to this base area here, well, actually you can't see that in that area. Let me move to the center here a little bit. When you get down to a certain area in this, there's tons of worms. They kind of stay a little bit lower. So as you can see, there's lots of worms in here. The material's nice and loose and fluffy. But I mean, look at all these worms in here. I mean, you can just see there's a ton. And they slowly work their way up. They've been really, really just very consistent, it feels like, in working their way up. They're slow, but they're methodical. It's not quite like a bin that's completely moist all throughout where they move all around and like you might get a lot of them here or over here. It's like they're just stay in this upper section right below the food and they just slowly work up and the moisture kind of comes with them. If I dig down a little further in here, let's move some more of this over. As you can tell, I keep a lot of bedding in this on top, because this bin does dry out if you don't. And I do have to say, one of my favorite things about this bin, or I should say not about the bin, but that has made me like this bin, is I have a video on this, but this is it's a chemical sprayer, but I just have water in it. This is what I now use to moisten my bins. And because this holds a couple gallons of water, it lasts a while when you're doing it. So it's not like I'm filling up little tiny spray bottles like I was before. So as you can tell, you get down to this layer, and then it's just all castings right here. It's just a thick layer of castings. Actually, this looks like it has an avocado shell in it still, but still breaking down this avocado shell. They take a long time to break down, if I can tell. They feel pretty soft right now. They're easily tearing apart, so they might be almost done too. But I mean, you get down to this layer, and it's just all castings down here, and it's really impressive with how they just crumble apart. And the moisture in here is just always perfectly regulated, it feels like. So I'm very impressed with the Vermibag Max. This is the one I tend to go to all the time. I throw all my stuff in here. There's a couple of times where I've actually thrown, I have some bugs in here, as you could tell. But, I've thrown full pumpkins in here and had them just disappear slowly without any issues at all, without having to add water or having it get too moist and become, smell bad and stuff like that. It's just been a really good bin for me to use. I think I actually am going to throw in some more food in here too. I have a whole bunch that I can throw in. So again, this is just a mixture of mango, some orange, carrots, probably some lettuce in here, some celery maybe. But I'm going to just throw spinach in the bottom. So I'm just going to break this up. This is going to have some moisture in it that's going to get down there. We are going to get this wet a little bit. The top is going to dry out again, but that's perfectly fine. You just keep a nice thick top on it of, see if I can get this all this stuff off here. Keep a nice thick top on it of bedding, and it's no big deal that it dries out. Like, the bedding can dry out no problem. As long as the other stuff that's underneath, as long as it doesn't dry out all the way through, you're fine. Which is what I really do like about this, and the fact that I can kind of look in real quick through the screen mesh. This has become the bin that I tend to go to first every time when I'm throwing stuff in here. Just trying to get some of the stuff off my gloves here. So I'm going to cover this up now. Might need a little bit more cardboard in here, or maybe not. Maybe this will be good. I'm going to spray it down a little bit, get it a little bit wet, and then that'll be it. But this bin has been really, really good for me. I feel it's worked really well, and you know, as I told you, this is what I use now to spray down my bins. A lot of water. You know, you're able to not have to refill quite as often. You can see it actually runs down the side and everything. But this bin is perfectly waterproof on these sides and everything, which is just, there's been no leaking of water really through the sides or anything. There has been a little bit at the bottom when I threw a good portion of watermelon in. But this has definitely been one of the bags that I've really been impressed with. You know, I do like my urban worm bag. I'm not going to say that I don't. It's just that this tends to be the one that I go to because it's so dry. When I throw stuff in here, it's going to dry out. It's not going to become a saturated mess. I haven't had that issue either in my urban worm bag, but it is much more moist than this one is. Now the mini, I have the opposite problem. It's so dry that it dries out quite frequently, and I'm worried about the worms dying in it. They have trouble moving up because it's so dry. I have to water it very frequently, and that is not as conducive. I think it's just too small really for the amount of for the space. There's too much air movement, and you need something else to hold it in. So overall, this bin has been doing really well. I probably do need to empty it at some point since I'm looking at the side here. I mean, we are about a little over a foot up here where this is. Maybe a little bit less than a foot where the worms are. But overall, this bin is working really well. I do throw a lot of coffee grounds in like this and, you know, stuff like that. So that's my update for this week. If you like these videos, please like the videos and subscribe to my channel. And thank you very much. If you have any questions also, please ask.